something very strange happened on Fox News over the weekend with Jesse Waters, the host over there on Saturdays. Well, he basically praised QAnon during a interview with the president's son, Eric. There's no other way to describe it. Let's take a listen.
I guess this conspiracy deal on the internet. Twitter's basically just cracked down, eliminated about 7,000 accounts, 150 other 100,000 accounts are now in the crosshairs. Do you think that this is an attempt to kind of interfere in an election? Because, Q can do some crazy stuff with the pizza stuff and the Wayfair stuff, but they've also uncovered a lot of great stuff when it comes to Epstein and it comes to the deep state. I never saw Q is as dangerous as Antifa, but Antifa gets to run wild on the internet.
Well, this is the strange thing, right, where he's like, they've uncovered some crazy stuff. I'm like, well, no. But however, his point is not incorrect. And that was the weird thing, which is like, why didn't you just make the point about, well, they delete some stuff and they keep others, which is true, right? And that's something we very much stand against or for free speech like here, and we don't think that people should be unfairly censored or whatever online. But going out and being like, it's one of those real life moments where it's like, you do not, in fact, have to hand it to them.
Right, no,
you really
indeed.
don't.
You don't have to. No, it's kind of like the reverse of like what resistance liberals do, where it's like anyone who's opposed to Trump is now our best friend. John Bolton, George W. Bush, whoever it is, you're our new, but maybe Ronald Reagan now, potentially, now that, the Reagan Foundation is opposed to Trump. It's like the reverse of that. He's basically backing QAnon to own the Libs, since they're all allied in favor of President Trump.
It's like when Malcolm Nance and those guys would praise Luis Mensch, right? Like an outright Russiagate conspiracy theorist, or Seth Abramson, or any of these other idiots online who made a whole career on Twitter out of just posting complete Russiagate nonsense. It's like, you don't have to do it, folks, right? Like, you can say, why is it that Twitter, and actually the case against QAnon on Twitter was crazy, right? Like, they've been on Twitter for like years now. Well, what they ended up doing is that Chrissy Teigen, of course, who has like millions of followers, Q started going after her, and she was like, I am threatening to leave the platform if you guys don't ban her. So you're like, okay, so Chrissy Teigen gets to determine what gets banned off Twitter and what's not? That seems pretty screwed up. And I'm open to having a conversation about hey, so when a celebrity is targeted, then you're gonna go out and set all these new rules. And Jesse's right, when people organize, like violence or whatever on your platform, or let's say like go and harass an activist of any stripe, left or right, then you're not gonna do anything because they're not a world famous celebrity. That's a very accurate point. It just shows you that it's like you do not in fact have to hand it to them, Jesse.
There's just an inability frequently on cable news to have any sort of nuance. It's like as complex as the conversation gets is like, that's my enemy, this person's on my side, end of story. So we've talked a lot here about the, in my view, disastrous way that Twitter has handled these conversations and putting up their little annoying fact checks and all these sorts of things. And my concern is, I think, Jesse's concern is like, oh, they're just censoring conservatives, which is not in fact the case, because what we often see and have seen in places like Reddit too, is they'll take down the right-wing stuff, and then to play the both sides, we're applying this equally, they'll take down left-wing stuff too, like Chapo on Reddit, as one example. So you can have that conversation without pretending that QAnon has uncovered some great stuff in Jesse's work.
That's why everyone should use the Rising subreddit, where I sometimes post with my username Saagar and Jetty. I told the mod there that I would shout it out on the show, so there you go, mod.
There you go, guys.
Welcome.
Go check it out.
We check it out occasionally, but not when it's cancerous. All right. We'll see you guys later. We'll have more Rising for you after this.